Hey, everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom, the program that is focused for the foreseeable future on talking about things in the church that should not be in the church. Tonight, we are going to kind of go back a little bit and look at and discover some like red flags that were waving, really hoping to be noticed, and alarm bells that were going off at very high volume levels. And nobody was paying attention, evidently. And this episode would not be happening without the involvement of my special guest that I'm going to bring on right now. In fact, I think we can absolutely say, Marianne, this entire episode is your fault. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thanks, but no thanks, right?
Well,
had a good evening.
You kind of late in the evening, and people that we contribute. So I'm used to getting texts at all times of the day and night. If I can pay attention, I do. If I can't, I look at them the next day. But there's some video that we're going to look at that you had found. I'd never had the lovely pleasure of experiencing that, and you had a couple of questions that you ran by, and it just clicked, and so hence the title. I tell you what, let's do this. Marianne, can you please tell the audience, what are they looking at?
Well, I can't see anything but you and me. Are you showing something on the screen, Everett?
Oh, okay. If you can't see, sorry about that. Yes, then I will have to. What the audience is looking at, Marianne, is a stage shot of the main piece of video. This is Tom Keesee, age about 30, 31, and a pair of yoga pants, red yoga pants, leaving very little, unfortunately, to the imagination. And he's wearing, actually, what he's wearing as I'll call it a jacket, or, a lady would say a top, is this high school, like letters jacket. So
I had some technical difficulties, so I'm talking to you on my phone, but I've got it playing.
You can see it. You can see it now. Yeah. And folks, we're going to go through some video, and I'm going to tell you why I'm asking the question, who SA'd Tom Keesee, because he has said that happened, by the way. But we're just kind of building up here, Marianne. But can you just give me a mother's reaction to that 30-year-old man dressed that way?
Well, he looks like a sixth grader to me. I used to teach sixth grade once upon a time, and that's how the kids dressed. with those kind of yoga looking pants and the letter jackets or whatever. So he just reminds me of a little boy in a grown up body. That's what he looks like to me.
He's like a boy man. It's very, very sad. And folks, let me just say this. Marianne, Vanessa Johnson texted me about an hour ago. And as of about 4:45 on Monday, that young fellow there is in jail. And we will maybe at some point post the link to his commissary if you'd, like to help him get extra, rations of ramen noodles and so forth. But he's in jail. And that's where he belongs. My opinion, he belongs there. I don't know that he ever needs to come out. And believe it or not, folks, at the same time, I have a certain level of compassion for this guy. Justice can't be avoided. It's caught up with him, and it's going to stay caught up for probably the rest of his life. He's probably going to spend the rest of his life in prison. That's what it looks like. And at the same time, I think you have to lay a lot of the blame at mommy and daddy's feet, because sometimes, Marianne, I look at what we're going to, even just a little bit of the stuff we're going to look at tonight, and you go, well, how else did you expect him to turn out? Yeah. Why did you expect him to turn out any different than what he did? So how about we do this, folks? Let's take a look. Marianne, can we look at some scripture, and then I want to go to an article that provides the foundation for the title of this episode. But you shared this with a prayer group that we're a part of, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But are you able to see that, or do you need me to read it?
No, I can see it. I can see it. It happened I had a dream on March 28th.
Okay.
And in the dream, a former elder that I once worked with came up to me in the dream. I hadn't seen him in 20, probably 28, 30 years. And he said, God told me to tell you to look up Psalm 75 too. And so when I immediately woke up and saw the scripture, I'm like, wow. I knew, it's one of those things like you just read a word and you know what God is saying. And so when I
Yes.
with you in the prayer group, you read through the rest of it, and I'm like, wow. Then that very evening, Everett, there was a huge earthquake in Taiwan where sadly over 2,000 souls were lost.
Oh
So
my.
clearly, the Lord was delivering a message to whomever will listen. Hopefully, they'll be listening tonight, some of them that need to hear.
Well, I'm going to read verses 2 and 3 of Psalm 75. This is the Lord speaking through the psalmist. When I choose a time, I will judge fairly. When the earth and all its dwellers quake, oh man, there it is. It is I who bears up its pillars. Selah. I say to the proud, do not boast, and to the wicked, do not lift up your horn. Do not lift up your horn against heaven, or speak with an outstretched neck.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very, very powerful words, Marianne. And it just seems to me that we're really seeing that play out right now. Do you have anything you want to add before we get on to the article?
Well, when the Lord speaks a word and warns his servants, and it just seems like from that point when he speaks the word and gives the word, it happens. And what was it, the next week we learned that he had been indicted, and then he was arraigned, and now he's in jail. And
Yeah.
I think that this should be a fair warning to those in Daystar, World Harvest. I learned today that TD Jakes stepped down from the Potter's House. So there seems to be a changing of the guards, brother, that the Lord is in that psalm somewhere. He says that he puts down some and he lifts up the other, and he lifts up
Yeah.
others. The changing. There is a divine rotation and leadership happening right now.
Amen. Amen. So let's do this. I'm going to go to, and everybody, please pray for Canada. They have this really important election tomorrow. I believe I've got all my dates right on that, but pray for certainly Laura Lynn and our other brother John, other people up there. And this program has a lot of friends in Canada, but we are praying, and Lord's got his hand on you. It's going to be all right, but we're praying for you. Okay. So look, the reason that we are that I entitled this episode, Who S.A.'d Tommy Keesee, is because Tommy Keesee said that happened to him. Now, this is from an article that was posted in the Jubilee Cast website. I can barely see the date. The date is December 3rd of 2016. So it's like 9 years ago. Okay. But I'm just going to read a little bit. Tommy Keesee, maybe I'll do it this way. Tommy Keesee was releasing his debut Christian album project, and this was an article to some some publicity, and I'm just reading one sentence from like the first paragraph. Tom saying, I would wager that most of the times you are moved while watching a film, the soundtrack is doing that to you. That's interesting, but let's get to the pay dirt. Here's the question from the interviewer. On Facebook, you mentioned there were many obstacles leading up to the album's release. What were some of them? And how did you overcome them? And this is Tom Keesee, in his own words, my entire life has been a fight. I wasn't even supposed to be born. My mom had all the symptoms of a miscarriage after bug exterminators set off bug bombs with her still in the house. She went to the hospital praying I would live and not die. When she arrived at the hospital, a Christian doctor met her at the door and said, this baby shall live and not die. Marianne, it's sounding kind of rehearsed already, but I'll let that pass. There have been many obstacles on my journey. I was severely bullied as a young teen and was a victim of sexual abuse. I had to face my demons, overcome the shame. The year leading up to my meeting Dave, I think that was a producer, I went through some very tough times. So Mary Ann, Tom Keesee in print is telling the whole world that he was, as a young teen, SA'd. Did you know that before the last 24 hours?
I did not know it. I kind of knew it in my heart. I'm like, no one can turn out this way, victimize as a 12-year-old boy. We're talking 12 years old, almost prepubescent. I mean, 12 is still very young. To engage in that type of abuse, I said to myself, he had to have been abused himself. That's the only thing that would make sense. You know, I lost him in a car accident, but at the age of 12, he was still playing, baseball and baseball cards and, climbing trees and doing things that boys do at the age of 12. He wasn't doing that, So something traumatized him. And so when you shared that article with me, I'm like, there it is. That explains it.
Okay. How do we got to dance around the edges a little bit. But folks, one thing, if there's one thing the last year and a half should have taught us, is that if you have a question, it's okay to ask it. So the question that we're asking on this program is, who SA'd Tom? Because we have to be consistent here. Victims come out, and what do we say? You have to believe the victim. Right. Now, if you really diligently, investigate and find out that the victim is not being truthful, that's one thing. But if there's a bias in the beginning, for me, it's going to be you go with the victim. You believe the victim. And so do I believe that Tom Keesee needs to be exactly where he is, eating the food that he ate about an hour ago? Yes. Does he need to be in that cell right now? Yes. Does he need to spend the rest of his life there? I think that, I believe the answer is yes. However, in that article, he is saying that he was abused, and I believe him. So here's the question, Mary Ann. Who SA'd Tom Keesee?
You're asking me?
I'm asking.
I have a theory. And I think you have the evidence that his grandfather, I lost you, that his grandfather was a 32nd or 33 degree Mason. And when I learned that through somebody in our team who did some research and found the grandfather's obituary that mentioned that, I'm like, I wonder if this young man, when he was a child, was SA'd by the grandfather or the lodge, because that is a common practice when you get up into those higher degrees of Freemasonry where children are SA'd. And you and I both have talked to a person who has told us some horror stories of her experience growing up in a Freemasonry home, and how her father, she has terrible memories of her father taking her to the lodge to be SA'd as a child.
And there's others. I know exactly who you're speaking of. And then there's others. I've gotten a lot of emails since we opened up this can of worms. And I still want to be real quick to say, I don't think any Christian should be anywhere near Freemasonry. I think it's a really dumb, bad idea that you haven't thought through, especially any minister. But the truth is, you're not going to see this at the first 1 or 2 or 3 levels. Nope. No. But the thing is, though, you've already sworn an oath that you won't share any of this stuff. You'll hide it a secret in your breast unless it's murder or treason. Well, SA is not murder or treasons, but I just want to lay it out there, Mary Ann, that nobody's saying that this always happens at the first 1 or 2 or 3 levels, which is where like 90% of Freemasons stay. But so going back then, and anybody can Google up Tom Keesee's, that's Tom Keesee Sr. He was this Tommy Keesee's grandfather. Just type in obituary, boom, it comes up. Was he Tom or Gary? Was he? Here's the. Are you ready? Tom. Okay. Thomas Griffiths Keesee. Thomas Griffiths Keesee was the grandpa. And the young man that's in jail is Gary Thomas, I believe, but he goes by Tommy. So, folks, we are not saying, I'm not. Mary Ann might be guilty of this.
Hey,
I'm not saying that Tom's grandfather essayed him, but I'm asking the question, was he the one?
we're just asking. We're wondering.
If it wasn't him, who might it have been? I was reading an article. I didn't have time to put everything on a still, but it did confirm for me what I thought I'd already heard, that very often, most often, with children, it's somebody that they know.
Yes.
Well, which is the first batch of people that they know? It's their family. So I'm just asking, Drenda, was that you? Was that Drenda? Was Drenda the one that essayed Tom? I'm not saying you did. I'm asking you. I'll send you a link, Drenda, if you want to come on and set us straight. We're live here. You could. Could it have been his father, Mary Ann?
Could have been anyone ever. Could have been, somebody in a neighboring church. It could have been a relative. It could have been a neighbor. It could have. We just don't know. But indications, and what from this book right here, 33 Degrees of Masonry, that we're familiar with.
Yeah, we are.
A lot of this happens in families between mothers and fathers and children and relatives of those involved at this level of Freemasonry. It's a horrible, horrible reality.
It is a horrible reality.
Begs the question. It begs the question. That's all.
If anybody has heard anything, knows anything, has any information, please email us at ohioforfreedom@gmail.com. But I will say this. Once again, I believe he's right exactly where he needs to be. There needs to be justice for his victims. But if he's a victim, let's do this. I want to kind of paint a picture of just how crazy and dysfunctional this was. So let me just state this as a premise, Mary Ann. I'm 17 minutes in. Maybe I could have stated this right away. Tom said in an article that he was essayed. I learned from someone that I spoke to today that at least one time he said that from the platform, from the stage, when he was giving his Fire and Ice program that we're going to see a little bit of in just a moment. So it's out there that he said it. So this would be my two questions, ladies and gentlemen. Drenda, Gary, the heck, how come, why you never had that investigated? Why? If he's saying that happened, sure looks like you covered it up. Why?
Where were you?
Where were you? Because if you'd have had it investigated, maybe he could have come to some healing. You know what I mean? How did that work out for you, the cover up? If that's what happened, Drenda, if that's what happened, Gary, how did that cover up work out for you? Did it work out good? I don't think it worked out good for him. I don't think it worked out good for you. Or the other side of the coin, Mary Ann, is maybe he was making it up. Maybe it's a way to embellish his victim resume. Maybe it's just kind of an add-on thing. Oh yeah, I was sexually abused and run over by a car, and I was born with a coat hanger coming out my ear. I mean, all these kind of things, we feel sorry for the kid. But if that's the case, I still got to go back to Drenda. I still got to go back to Gary. The heck, how come, why, if your kid's out there lying in print in an effort to promote his Christian CD, and he's saying that from the platform of your church because they never took that play anywhere besides your church, then why was it okay for him to lie if he was lying? And how did that work out for you, Gare and Dren? How'd that work out for you? Mary Ann, can you say that any, am I making sense there? It's like either one way or the other. It's either it happened and they covered it up. So, I mean, unless I'm missing something, or he's lying about it and they never corrected it.
Right. And if he was making it up, if he was just saying it for shock, shock effect or whatever, wouldn't parents have heard it and addressed it and tried to rectify that from the pulpit and correct it for the congregation? Because he was on staff and represented the ministry there. And I mean, wouldn't you, if you were a pastor and your child or someone on your staff said something that was so concerning, wouldn't you want to deal with it and address it publicly to the congregation? Or is this the MO of a lot of these mega ministers? You just sweep things under the rug and you walk away and you don't deal with it or address it, no matter how concerning or shocking it may be? I don't know. Just seems that's the big.
But how did it turn out? It didn't turn out so good. This just popped in my head. Then we're going to play a piece of video here. Folks, I want to show you how dysfunctional it is when you either ignore a lie or when you cover up something that actually happened. And Marianne, when I was about 28, 29, 30, I was brought on staff at a church, at Dayspring and Bowling Green. And my senior pastor, Pastor Allen, was like 11 years older, and he'd spent time in the military. And it might have been during Vietnam, I'm not sure. But he was in the military. And there's no way, I'm just thinking, if I'd have told a lie like, yeah, I was shot at in Vietnam when I never even served, he wouldn't have let me get away with something like that.
No way. No way.
So if somebody's lying, you deal with it. If it happened, you deal with it. But if you don't deal with it, many years later, you'll be dealing with something like this. Here's a good way.
It is cold outside, but it's warm in here. And so we're just getting started tonight. I know we're going to come back and worship some at the end. We have a special treat tonight. After my parents signed the adoption papers and they brought home my brother, Tom, my brother, he's not adopted. But I do believe there's a gift in him, and he has a different approach, an unconventional approach, and he tells the truth just like it is. And I believe he's very anointed, and I know that the words he speaks are going to touch you, and it's going to encourage you tonight. And, he said it's not a message, but he's bringing the message tonight. And so, we'll see where we go. But I can promise you one thing, it's going to be awesome. Have tremendous respect for this young man and all the things that he's walked out and accomplished. And he's going to speak to you tonight. If you would give it up for my baby brother, Tommy. Come on.
Marianne, before we get to the subject matter there, and that's his older brother introducing his younger brother and all the things that he's accomplished. The problem is I can't figure out what he ever did accomplish, but I want to deal with this. If I can, I'd like to deal with this comment real quick. And if you have a comment, please feel free to chip in, Marianne. But Cynthia says, ignore their daughter too.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. And you and I had talked about this because a little girl, from what I've talked to a lot of victims of SA. And typically if a father SAs a daughter, she is bullied into silence. But if a brother does it to a sister, I would think she would be more likely to tell on the sibling than she would a parent. I think that, would stand to reason that somehow she would have told another sibling or her mommy that this happened to me. Okay. And I had shared with you that when our youngest child, 12, when she was 12, we got this phone bill, and the phone bill was back in 92 was over $200. She was calling these not toll-free 1-900 numbers for sex talks that she had seen a commercial on TV. And we get this huge phone bill, and we knew immediately what it was. Okay. So what did we do as parents? We confronted her and we said, what's up with this? Right. And so there were other things that she did. And as parents, you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to see that something is off with a child, especially at the age of 12. They might be able to mask it when they're 16, 17, but when they're 11, 12, in that puberty time, parents are pretty vigilant, right? So why did they not see some terrible moldy breadcrumbs along the way or have any kind of discernment that something was going on in that household that was very sinister. I don't understand that, brother.
I don't either. And it just points out the bravery that Kirsten had when she came and told the story. So what we just saw a piece of video wise was the older brother. Whoops, sorry about that. The older brother introducing his younger brother and making jokes about he's different. He speaks this language. He's so creative, whatever, and all of his accomplishments. But here's kind of what's going to be presented. Excuse me. And where am I? I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I want you to hear, this is a really good example of the sheer brilliance of what you're about to see on the stage in the very next clip after this. Here we go.
Basically, the flame voyaged from Salem into what's called the void, and the void was where this dark creature named Croatian lived. And essentially they separated for the first time the darkness and the light, and they seeded the planets. The circles of time were drawn. So these guys right here basically created the worlds. They are immortal beings. This is not the form they take when they're in Salem, but they took this form to leave their place voyage. So basically, after that happened, darkness was bound into this place called the void, or the after realm. But as we know, every good story, the enemy has to come back. The darkness always lingers on the edge of light. So the darkness came back and manipulated these people called the elementals, who were created by the flame. The elementals, that's where we get our ice from, because the elementals used to be the water elementals, which they were good, they created life. But then, after the darkness basically deceived them, they became the ice. And there's this creature called Valnius, which we didn't get to see today, but he basically rules the ice, and he created them. He's the ice lord. And since then, they've been attacking all of the planets that the flame created as a way to get back at their master, at the one that basically originally kicked the darkness out. So you got this big battle, all these planets, and
Marianne, what?
God,
That's sad. What?
what is the redemptive purpose of all of that?
And the kid that's speaking is Tom, okay, explaining what he does on the stage and what he's written and all. Marianne, you're a mom. Emotionally, how old is the kid that was just talking, in your opinion?
I would say 11 or 12.
That's the way it comes across to me. There was a comment, I'd have to go back, and I can't go back on the screen and find it. But, and I'm not even going to repeat the stuff. I mean, whatever. But here's the thing. FLC and Dren and Gare paid for that little group to go to, what is this place now? It's the Wizard Workin. It's some kind of convention where geeknoids get together and they talk about their comic books. So they send them there like it's a mission trip. I mean, they've paid for all this. They've paid for this little man boy to create his Gorgatron conquers Almurthia, an attack of the Zentroids. That's the best I can do. Those Zentroids now, they've got that Albashon thing happening. And then when they Quasmon with that Bushamonger,
you got to stop, Everett. You got to stop.
This was but this was paid for with Mimo and Pawpaw's welfare. And this is ministry, really, Dren?
We're
really,
not laughing. We are not laughing at the crime, people. We are laughing at the ridiculousness of this thing he was doing, and the fact that you all need to understand that Drenda, mom and daddy paid for this with your tithing money.
And your special seed offerings. Yeah, well, okay, now we're going to give you I better not ever do that again. That was the. I think the Gringashoids are like they're like more powerful than the Voltrazons. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We did. Okay, here we go. Help me.
Who will survive? End of the world. Every hero needs an intro, but it's feeling like the end though. The world is caving in, no. They don't even know what they're in for. They don't even know. They don't even know. They don't even. Draining our batteries. Prison cells, fools for the gold, not all the glitters is on sale. Oh well, filling up my veins ain't changed. My DNA light in the tunnel, but there is no train. Went off the rails, no hope, no help. Who can relate? Oh well, nobody left, myself. Fight as we may, we might not make it. Surrender's a risk we're not willing to take, man. Keep your head down, hell is real. Hand out, this is how we feel. The walls of this world are wearing thin. Intro, still the end.
Marianne, look, I can appreciate different kind of musical genres.
Sure.
Okay. This is nothing. This is a 12-year-old in a 30-year-old body wearing skin tight red yoga pants and a fake high. This is a man boy. This is a little boy man. Is this like a little dysfunctional or what?
It's a lot dysfunctional, and it has nothing to do with Jesus. Somebody asked, what does this have to do with Jesus? Absolutely nothing.
Oh, so you're saying that Jesus can't defeat the Gargazins and the Montroids? I think he does have victory in the celestial Quakamons. I mean, I'm sorry. I got to get off of this.
Stop it. Please. But this was some kind of youth concert. He was doing at church with these big old Arnold Schwarzenegger glasses and his bicycle or football high school jacket and his yoga pants. And it was like, what has this got to do with the gospel? Did you hear the lyric? He said, every hero needs an intro, but it's feeling like the end, though. This was 5 years ago. And then he ends the song. Can you fast forward it and show the folks what we're talking about? He's sitting on the stage and he repeats it again really slow. It's almost prophetic. Like he knew something was going to happen, and it did. The end.
I can't show that because I clipped it out, but that is how he ended it. He like zooms down again. He like squats. It's dark. And what are the words? Every hero needs an intro, but this feels like it's the end, though. And this intro, look at this. This is a comment made by Madre. It says he was prophesying over the prison cells in this song. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And it's so there's so many things here, Mary. And this is like, let me say something about the musical and then we're going to show you some video here in just a bit, folks. So you're going to go, what? But the thing is this never went anywhere. Everything that you're seeing, all the production, all the yoga pants, and the clip before, the Zortron Maganoid mask and the fairy, all that stuff, it's all paid for by Faith Life Church. So you can fix your money thing and you can get your kingdom principles right. And this is what you're paying for. And you know what, Marianne, if there were really like, he's speaking the language of today and all these kids were getting saved and discipled and all of that, if that was really happening, maybe as an old person, we could sit back and say, okay, I don't get it, but these kids are on fire for God. But guess what?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. And I double checked. So in that same article, which we won't go back, he's saying, yeah, I made a video game and I did this and I'm in movies and I wrote this, musical or something like that. He had a more highfalutin term than musical, and it's still on tour. He said that when he gave the interview for his CD, but Marianne, there's only one problem with that.
What's
His
that?
Nice show, evidently it did go on tour, and it never left the first stage where it was put on at. The tour was, they would bring it back to Faith Life Church, maybe like every year. It never went anywhere. When was the last time you went on a tour that you didn't go nowhere? But the church is paying for this.
Well, it's a pretty big building. Maybe he toured from one end to the other and back. That's
okay. All right. So he does this song that ends with, what were the words again, Marianne? Every hero needs an intro.
but
it feels
it's
like,
feeling like and
yeah, feels like the end though. And then it went into, and we'll have to split this up for fair use. And then it goes into this fantastically moving piece of video that Faith Life Church paid for. Here we go. Watch out for the Murgazons and the trifraglistics. He grabs the sword. Rod would be proud. Bless you. Okay, there's Drenda. What?
I'm trying to figure out.
This? What is this 60-year-old woman doing? What?
Is she trying to be Wonder Woman or Catwoman? What's she trying to be here? I don't know.
I think Angie Dickinson was her hero or something. We'll let it play. Now, so far you have seen 3 family members. You saw Tim, the older brother, right away. Obviously, you saw Tom pick up the sword, and then you saw Mama doing whatever she's doing. And some FLC people know who these people are. I don't. Those are 2 of his sisters, as I understand. There's Daddy. Whoa, Daddy. Whoa, Daddy. There's Dren. Okay, Marianne, you got it. Just let's be honest with the audience, though. So far, we've seen an extremely crystal clear message, haven't we?
Yeah, that they're crazy. That's the message that this is craziness.
I have something very serious to say, but I think just for the sake, I'm going to let this run out, but it's got about 2 more minutes, and so here we go. There's Drenda. Now, as I understand it, maybe if I'll back up just a little bit, that's Drenda and 2 of Tom's sisters. And it's important that I point that out. Go ahead. There she is. Go ahead.
She's the bionic woman.
Well, I mean, and we're kind of laughing, but I got a point I really want to make, but I want to let this go a little further. want you to see Dad, how he climbs up the cliff after the jet crashes. That's his brother. Oh, he had a day trade go south, I think. I don't know what happened. Ooh. Oh, the black and white was cool. Like the water shot. Cool. Oh. I thought the scene that came from, I just want to back that up. Is that like a 1986 Pontiac Trans, fake? That looks like a 80s Pontiac, but never mind. There's Drenda on the floor. She's standing up. She got the gun. Very clear, concise gospel message. They're running to the altars. They're repenting in droves. They're begging, pleading, please sign me up for a discipleship class. Gary's making the climb. Sign me up. I want to give my life to the Lord. I want to serve Jesus. I want to... Oh, I want to be like Drenda. She's the high-tech sci-fi missionary lady. Okay. I know what I want to say, Marianne. I'm going to let you talk first. We can let that play, but
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. You take it. Take it.
This is so dysfunctional. We have to remove the word dysfunctional from the English language. This is so completely ridiculous. You have tens of thousands of dollars of people donated, tithes, offering money, supporting this, and you have mama and dada and all the brothers and sisters participating in this bizarre, mentally 12 or 11-year-old fantasy yoga red pant boy in the high school leather jacket going on. This is dysfunctional. This is an entire church, but it's visualized with the church's elites, these family members living out boy toys fantasy. And that's all it ever was a fantasy, because it never won souls. It never discipled anybody. Nobody ever wanted it. It never toured anywhere. Nobody ever called up and said, please bring this to our youth conference. Please bring this to our church. We need this. This is going to reach young people or old people or any people for the gospel. None of that. This is the height of idolatry and dysfunction. I've never seen anything like it, Marianne, ever.
When I ran across this video last night, I thought, what in the world? That's why I had to send it to you. I couldn't believe my eyes. I don't know if Kirsten was in that video or not. God love her. I don't know if she was or not. But I'm no psychologist, Everett. But I asked you the question. I'd like to ask the people out there their question. Could it be that when a child is SA'd at that young of an age, they get locked up mentally and emotionally in that particular emotional age, and that's where they stay, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing? And could it be that mama and daddy feel guilty and they are just catering to his whim and using the church money to fund his fantasy projects because they somehow feel guilty or to blame for what happened to him? I don't know. These are questions that you just can't help but wonder about when you see this sort of thing in a church.
Because this is
family where he's now in jail for essaying not only his sister, but how many other victims, Everett? 3 now? Is it 3 that have come? 3 more that have come forward? I don't know. I can't keep track.
It's 3, and I think there's going to be more. And I think there probably is more, and I think there's going to be more. And we had a comment that already agreed with what you said. I believe, Tommy, I believe you. I believe that you were SA'd at a young age. Unfortunately, we just saw a video that to me looks like pretty good evidence that like you never really grew up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, Marianne, but I used to be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound because I watched Superman, and I put a towel. My mom let me use a bobby pin, and then it held it together, and I wore it as a cape. But she let me jump off the back steps. But when I went to jump off the high fence, she wouldn't let me do it. Why? You know why? Because my mother knew that I couldn't fly. And she didn't let me do that and harm myself. Drenda, baby, where were you, dear? Where were you? And then you're appearing. You get some kind of weird psycho. What kind of sadistic pleasure do you get out of appearing in your? Why wasn't your heart weeping? But no, you seem to enjoy appearing in your boy man's fantasy. I don't know if this is Fantasy Island or Love Boat meets Star Trek, but this is bizarre, Marianne. And the whole church there had to play along and act like this is normal and act like this is the kingdom of God.
Yeah, the family seems to love the camera. Drenda is good friends with Joni baby, and she's on Daystar still. And they're just infatuated with the camera and this whole thing of entertainment in the name of ministry.
Yeah, and can I show you even how more bizarre this? Okay, so let me say this. I asked a couple of people this. I said, okay, wait a minute. And let me just go here, if I can, Marianne. Let's set up I'm going to set up a hypothetical. You have either young empty nesters or maybe even people with children, and they have a distant relative that says, hey, I got this teenager. He's been nothing but trouble. But if he could just have a solid place to live, I think that he could get straightened out. So, okay, we'll do our best. And so you take this young teenage boy in, but a couple of weeks goes by. He's not going to school. He's not getting a job. Wouldn't you be a little concerned? Okay, so a couple of weeks goes beyond, and then wait a second, I'm coming home, and he's staying up all hours of the night and day playing video games, and then I come home and he's rearranged the furniture to try to look like the castle Zorgon, and at some point you say, wait a minute, this is dysfunctional. But Drenda didn't do that. Gary didn't do that. But I want to show you how far that this is just evidence of how far these folks went to fit into this guy's fantasy world. Okay. So this is a Faith Life Church Facebook post from the 27th of August, 2022. And I never heard of this guy. Lecrae will be performing at this week's Summer's Almost Over Fest. There's only one problem, Marianne. This guy here, I never heard of him. Lecrae, I'm sure he's really all that and 3 bags of chips. You know what his honorarium is when he shows up for a gig like that in 2022?
Let me take a guess. 10 grand?
Oh, you're way short. No, nope. Yeah. He's more like 50K.
50K. Wow.
50K to bring this dude in. Why? So that Gary can open up for him. And here's something else that I made it a point to ask. So, okay, so if all of this boy toy, red yoga pants and the high school jacket at age 30 because I'm a 12-year-old at heart, and anyway, if all of this crazy, goofy, speak the language stuff with mama wielding the sword and dad flying the plane and all this green screens, if all of that was really reaching kids and really bearing fruit, you know what would be happening, Marianne? I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. The phone would be ringing from all of the other churches and the Word of Faith Prosperity Network and all of them. We need Tommy. We need Tommy. Come to our youth camp. We need Tommy. Bring this. We need this for our kids. Marianne, do you think that happened? Answer my question and then you say something. But do you think that happened?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. No. They had the whole package where they could sell this road show. The only problem is nobody ever bought it. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere. This kid was never in demand. This stuff never reached an audience. Nobody ever wanted it. It never changed any lives. They pumped tens of thousands of dollars, gave him a six-figure salary. Somehow he was able to get signed up for an $880,000 mortgage at like age 32, doing this. Oh, that doesn't look suspicious at all.
No.
And the thing is it never, ever, ever worked. There wasn't anything real about it. It's absolutely just as weird and goofy and dysfunctional as it looks.
Yes.
But who was behind it? Drenda and Gary.
Yeah.
You had something you wanted to say. I'm sorry. I talked right over the top of you. And you're my very special guest. So you get the floor.
No, I know a little bit about Lecrae. I know that he, I just saw an article where he had done an interview with another fellow on YouTube. The other fellow, I'm not sure what his name is, if it's Spencer Helms, but the other man identifies as being a gay Christian, and Lecrae was on his show. And Lecrae, to me, just seems like one, he just wants to just go with everybody, go with the flow, and, not take a stand for anything one way or the other. And just, I'm sure there's more to it than that. But I just think a lot of these Christian artists have a lot of pressure to perform. And even if they do believe, I think that they don't take strong stands for the gospel, because it will hurt and diminish their audience and diminish their following and diminish their, pocketbooks.
Their $50,000 fee for point out. I want to read this comment. I'm thinking Skinny Pants has dirt on his parents, or they want him to keep quiet about his essay. Is that plausible? I think do I know? Is it plausible? Is it a question worth asking? I think it's a question worth asking. Folks, if you know, we're asking the question, who essayed Tommy? If you have any idea, please, on or off the record, if email, but Drenda, I believe your boy. I believe he was telling the truth in that article. Gary, I believe your boy. Why didn't you report anything? Now, if he would have been born about 89, I'm going to go down a train of thought and feel free, jump in, Marianne. You know, I might just talk over the top of me. He was born about 89, 90. And this is part of their testimony. The Keesees had like federal tax liens and stuff like that in the mid 90s. That can happen in business. I understand that. Okay. But somewhere along the line, they incorporated their Faith Life Church with Gary and Drenda at the top of the ticket and Craig Bickle, the rotating flunky yes man. And then by about mid 90s, they got that tax thing paid off. But they're kind of on a roll. But that would have also been probably the time that this young man was essayed. Probably. I mean, it would have been like 8, 9, whatever. Does that make sense, Marianne? And so it just kind of, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the church started in 94 and they became incorporated in 96, and they paid the lien off in 97.
Ah, you're on top of it. Okay. Right. So it sounds like their track record and their trajectory is, hey, we're getting some stuff figured out. We're learning how to apply the kingdom, and you're building this presence and you're building this image, and it's all going good. Marianne, it also kind of makes it sound like you're so busy learning the kingdom and building this image and building this ministry that you forgot to give a crap about your kid.
It's a fantasy kingdom, just like the Morphons or whatever they're called. It's a fantasy kingdom they're building.
You got to go at least three syllables. The Morphonsonites, the Transgorians, or something. Oh my
goodness.
Folks,
I gotta jump off.
All right, Marianne. Thank you. Okay, so everybody head over to now. Pastor Ray's coming on in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to catch Pastor Ray here in about 5 minutes, Marianne. If I have to catch you on the repeat, I will, but please tell people how to find your channel real quick.
Marianne Ray, WRAY, Truth Be Told. There's several Truth Be Told channels out there, but mine, you got to put in my name to find me.
Marianne
And
Ray
thank y'all.
and WRAY. Watch out for the
Yes.
Transgorgonites, and in the power of Goshen. Okay, bye-bye. Folks, I hope we've done some good tonight. I want to end by saying this. Oh, I have one more piece of video I'm going to play. I couldn't help but run this through together in my mind, and I called my very good friend Robin Torgrimson, who I think you'll see on her program tomorrow night. She's taking a little time off, but I'm just going to play this and see why I played it together. Here we go.
You got to let it go.
Yes.
You got to, we say it all the time, let go and let God.
Yeah.
Let go and let God. Some of you need to say out loud, I forgive blank.
Right.
I forgive
Right.
my mom.
That's
I
good.
forgive my dead granddad. I forgive my aunt. I forgive my sister. I forgive the person that sexually abused me when I was 8 years old. I forgive that boyfriend that raped me.
And she just started going, now
And I'm going to say this, folks. Why did I run that together? That's right down the road, 30 minutes away from Faith Life Church. You go down to World Harvest, and that young lady speaking was Ashton Parsley. And her behavior as an adult is just absolutely incorrigible, and it's extremely sad. Multiple witnesses of multiple affairs with men and women in the church. Very, very, very credible allegation of SA with a underage student there at the church. Witnesses, can I prove it? No. Is it alleged? Yes, it's alleged. But if you listened really carefully, you heard the pressure, forgive, and she mentions your grandfather that abused you, and the boyfriend that raped, and the reason I played that clip is just like I feel two things for Ashton Parsley. I feel she absolutely does have no business being in the ministry, and her dad ought to be thrown out on the road for platforming her, because that's her behavior now. And also, if you look at her life, how would you expect her to turn out any different? I don't have time to develop that. We've done that for months and months and months with Robin's program and this program. Tommy Boy Keesee is right where he needs to be. He needs to be in that cell right now. And after trial, he needs to go back into it. Looks if he's in there now, maybe they won't provide bail for him. So if they don't provide bail for him, that's his existence until he gets transferred to prison, probably for the rest of his life. And that's justice. And that's where it ought to be. But the other side of that coin is you have to look at him as a kid and say, how did you expect him to turn out any different, Drenda? Because it's one of two things, and I'm going to close on this. It's one of two things, dear. I mean, I know it was fun being in the movie, and I know it was fun, shooting the gun and holding the sword and putting on the costume and seeing your husband in the fake plane and all. I mean, I'm sure that was a rush. Whew, the thrill of a lifetime. I get all that. But, Drenda, one of two things happened. Either your son was sexually abused. We don't know by who, but we said that he was, and you covered it up. You did nothing. You didn't report. Why? Because it would have slowed down your momentum building the kingdom and building FLC and all. I don't know, but either he was telling the truth and you covered it up and did nothing. And how did that turn out? Or your kid was lying, and instead of doing something, you just kept on platforming him, kept on giving him more and more present, kept on putting him in front of your congregation's kids, their children, their teenagers. You kept doing that. So either way, Drenda, either way, Gary, how'd that turn out? for him, for you, for the people that you said you used to say you pastored? How'd that turn out for the image that you portray to the world? I'm going to submit to everyone here, it didn't turn out that well. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, please share, please subscribe. We appreciate you very much. In the description on YouTube, there'll be a link if you'd like to support the program. We appreciate it and try to put it to very, very good use. Zelle, Ohio for Freedom at Gmail. You'll see my first name come up. You'll know that's it. But we're going to sign off. I'm going to check out Pastor Ray right now. I never go over 7 o'clock on a Monday. And this was a special program. Very, very, very much appreciate you guys. Appreciate Mary Ann Ray making time for us at the last minute. So until the next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio. And God bless the United States of America. Good night, y'all.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be long.